Everyone always demands it. A movie about their favorite heroes or villains in the same universe duking it out to the end, just to see which one is the strongest. You've got the greatest American horror icons of all time, Freddy vs. Jason, and you've got the most famous space creatures of all time, Alien vs. Predator, and we also have Shredder vs. Batman. Boy, Batman sure has it rough. But did you know that Japan has its own version of these battle movies as well? As the greatest horror villains of America do battle, the greatest and most iconic horror villains of Japan do battle as well, in Sadako Vs Kayako. As everyone knows, Sadako is the girl in the well from Ring, and kills anyone who watches the cursed videotape she created. Kayako is the unjustly murdered woman in the Ju-on movie series, known as The Grudge in English, and she kills anyone foolish enough to come into her house with the rest of her murdered family. So what happens when these two killer, immortal women battle each other? Who is stronger? Who will win? That's what we are about to find out. This is the Japanese horror film Sadako vs. Kayako. My bets are on Sadako. Sadako vs. Kayako is a 2016 Japanese horror film. Our story starts out, of course, with introductions to the main players. A couple girls taking a class where their teacher is talking about urban legends. Of course, the legends of Sadako is mentioned, along with quite a few other interesting Japanese urban legends. The girls don't take the lecture very seriously, until one of them has to dub an old VHS tape of her parents' wedding onto a DVD. Of course, since it's now modern day, no one uses VHS tapes anymore, so the girls have to visit a second-hand shop to buy an old VCR player. Of course, they just happen to find one that has an old copy of the cursed Sadako videotape in it. Boy, Sadako, you're shedding. She is seriously upping her game here in this movie, by the way, since, according to this story, you die in 2 days if you watch the videotape instead of 7. She's not messing around. At the same time this is going on, a family moves into a new house because of the husband's new job. Hey, this family has the Japanese version of Lydia Dietz. So awesome! Their new home just happens to be right next door to the old abandoned house from Ju-on. Right quick, if you're unfamiliar with the horror story from Ju-on, or The Grudge, for story convenience, some students briefly mention what had happened. Anyone who goes into the house where the murders of Kayako and her son occurred get killed by the ghosts of said 2 victims. The 2 girls that found the Sadako tape, one of which watched it, quickly seek out their teacher, who seems to know quite a bit about the Sadako legend, in the hopes that he can help them. The teacher watches the videotape and gets the phone call from Sadako, telling the 2 girls he will work on a solution. He also copies the video onto a DVD for study. Great. Now we have a modern DVD video of Sadako. They then visit a medium who specializes in curses and Buddhist chants using Harry Potter spells? I think these subbers were just having fun. The medium brings out Sadako, who kills them all. I guess those Harry Potter spells aren't very good after all. Yuri, the girl who didn't watch the tape, in desperation gets Natsumi to hand her the tape and watches it herself, in the hope that this will remove the curse off of her friend Natsumi. Another powerful medium shows up, who has a small girl as a blind assistant, who has incredible senses for ghosts and sensing evil. Wow, that's kind of convenient. He says he has a plan to remove the curse. He wants to bring the two evil entities together so that they will destroy one another. Of course, he is aware of Kayako and the curse on her house as well. Sadly, Natsumi gives in to despair, and because she is upset about her impending death, she uploads the DVD copy of the Sadako video to the internet. Wow, you would think Sadako would be happy about this. But sadly, at the appointed time, Sadako comes for her, and Yuri can do nothing to help. Japanese Lydia Dietz, Suzuka, is curious about the old house. But of course the medium warns her to never go inside, or she will die. So of course she goes into the house. What is it with people in these horror films having such low IQs anyway? Literally, he just told you not to go in there. The parents chase after their daughter, but are taken by Kayako and her son. I think the son does more killing than anything else in this movie. The medium arrives just in time to save Suzuku's life, and they set a plan in motion. The two girls, who are now cursed, will go into the house at the same time of their impending deaths. So the two entities will battle each other. Not sure why that would happen, but okay. Let's go!
私、ゆり。私、鈴鹿です。
The two enter the house at the appointed time, taking a VHS player with them so that Suzuka can watch the Sadako tape inside the house, since she is already targeted by Kayako. Kayako's son shows up in his creepy fashion to kill one of them, but since they're both Sadako victims now, he gets captured by Sadako. She doesn't want anybody taking her victims. Kayako comes down for her prey, and they, do battle for a whole 30 seconds or so. The medium tells them the plan was a failure, and tells the two girls to get out of the house and run for it. Since Sadako and Kayako can't seem to actually kill each other, apparently. His backup plan is to have one of the girls jump into a well behind the house and trap both Sadako and Kayako inside. Wait, why is there a Sadako well just outside Kayako's house? I just love movie logic. Yuri volunteers to be the one, and so she jumps into the well as Sadako and Kayako go for her. They then seal her in, and all is well, right? Nope. Sadako is good at climbing out of wells. I think they forgot about that. And when she does it, it appears that the two evil entities have now merged. So instead of destroying each other, now Sadako walks like Kayako, and you can hear the creepy sounds that both of them make whenever they appear. The merged entity approaches the remaining survivors, and lots of screaming ensues. And then the credits, leaving their fate unknown. But they probably all died anyway. So yeah, this movie had quite the intriguing premise when I first read the title. Taking two of Japan's most iconic horror characters and pitting them against each other sounds quite epic. There are quite a few scenes with, Sadako doing killings and then switching to Kayako and her son doing killings. However, the idea in the end was poorly executed and will probably fall flat of the expectations most of you will have before watching this film. I found the movie was way too dark also. Most of the scenes are just too dark, and you can't even tell what is going on. Then we come to the payoff, the actual battle between Sadako and Kayako. It's less than a minute of the entire film, so sadly the epic fight that everyone wants is not very epic at all. The characters and the acting was done pretty well, however the story will be a big disappointment for fans. the movie also isn't really all that scary. I mean, there are more jump scares than the Ring movie. But the only really creepy parts are those with Kayako's son, who is really the scariest parts of the Ju-on movies anyway. Kayako herself got very little screen time too, sadly. The merging of the two at the end of the movie was an interesting plot twist. But overall, the movie doesn't live up to the expectations you will have from its title. I think it would have been interesting if they had maybe tricked Kayako herself in her house into somehow watching the Sadako videotape, and then Kayako being cursed by Sadako. That was the battle I was hoping to see, but sadly it never happened. The idea was great, but the execution was not so great. Maybe someday we'll get a better movie where we can see these two horror legends battling to some sort of death. Although they're both dead already. Until then, don't go into houses that you're told not to go into, and stay off the internet's social media sites, cause apparently Sadako's video is on the internet now. How many days has it been since I saw that YouTube short? I can't remember. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you all in the next Japanese movie review. Ja ne!